The Wolves coming in clutch, taking that first game away from Ion, taking us to a match point, and there's the Flash Race securing first blood there. Obviously, he's like, what was that about? What is going on? But a fairly clean game coming out of Antic, really knowing exactly what they wanted to do. Zoranus back on this Twisted Fate, obviously showing up as he always has, Skimmy, into a Cassante.
But that's exactly right, and it just felt like, yes, you banned away the Jax, you've banned away the Rumble, you've removed some of these top tier options in the top lane, but you should really know that he's very comfortable playing this. And maybe just a little bit thinking, yeah, if they draft triple AD carries, surely they have no front line. It's all reliant then on Dragku, but they simply got ahead in the early game. They had that 5k gold leads, and maybe there was a small blunder at this fight here around the Baron pit, but that was really it. They got to be the team in front and showcase that who needs a front line where you just have damage that can walk at you.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I think that's the big part. And I'm not sure how the Soraka really plays into that sort of team comp, but this seems to be the time to be pulling out weird and wacky things, Tally. Would you expect something maybe a little bit different, or is this something you could probably run back?
I think in the first game in the best of series is when you absolutely want to do stuff like play the Soraka, like play something like a lethality Varus, because you do know your game plan, you do have other options, and I always say the second game is the first game of a series, right? Because the first game, try out your stuff, feel out what the opponent prioritizes, and then the next game is when you really prioritize what you want to lock in, what you want to play your best draft. So I think that we're going to see a very different looking Ion next game.
Ooh.
What we saw this time
damage
was not a lot of damage compared to what Antic put out.
Oh my, like, I didn't actually think it was going to be that crazy, but like 4 members all with 20,000 plus damage is absolutely crazy. Usually it's like maybe 1 or 2 champions, but it's just so consistent. I think we got to talk a little bit about Zoranus up in this Twisted Fate a little bit more, because how do you respond to the player that can play almost anything?
It's a tough answer. It really is a tough answer. I think really you need a lot more protection to come out from your jungler to look to try and put it behind. For instance, you want to try and burn that flash. You want to try and punish before he has the Destiny, right? Doesn't typically run the TP as a summoner choice. So just making him uncomfortable, much the same as like Jovia on those side lanes got put into uncomfortable spots because he wasn't protected. Yeah, I think you just need to really make sure that you can shut these champions down early. Otherwise, if you're allowing 4 carries to flourish, they get to do this. Whereas in other cases, you'd say that's far too greedy. Any other team would punish that in a heartbeat. So, yeah, maybe it's a little bit of cockiness on Antic's side that we can get away with this. Maybe it's a little bit of indecision from Ion not knowing, yeah, really what to do.
Yeah, true. Now, I got to look at these junglers as well, Talia, and I'll pass this one to you because the Maokai pick, we haven't seen it. Used to be very meta, was very, very hot pick. Not so much the flavor of the month anymore because we do see the Karthus being looked in as well. What's that matchup look like? Like, what's your goal as Karthus? What's your goal as Maokai in that sort of match?
Farm, gank.
Farm.
That's it. I'm going.
Pretty simple, yeah.
Pretty simple, pretty easy. Karthus just wants to power farm, become as strong as possible, get to that 2-item double burn power spike that we all know about. Maokai can clear the jungle pretty fast. He is very good at securing objectives. Karthus, this is the one thing when it comes to this team with Iron, if they can start the objectives, if Maokai is in the pit, Karthus has to flash in. He can't really get in. He has to avoid the Maokai, whereas Maokai is always going to secure those objectives with the Q Smite. It's so hard to deal with, and they didn't really get to that point. We didn't really get to see this Maokai with the frozen heart, with so much armor that he's not really going to fall down. And I think that is the downfall of a lot of these tank junglers in OS especially, is they just don't really farm well, and they get to those points in the mid game where they blow up because they're so squishy.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's got to be a little bit of a change up for game number 2 as we do have our side select ready to go. We'll see that Ion has decided to pick blue side, and it seems, again, it's the favorite. It makes a lot of sense. Do you think this could change up the draft for Ion here, Tally?
Oh, absolutely. I think that this Ezreal is a very contested pick today, and we might even just see it be banned away by Antic altogether because they just think that don't want to give it to Styx, don't want to give him some priority on his favorite champion, and Destiny just feels more comfortable playing other stuff as well. So have to see what it's going to be, because I think that with all these 80 carries being removed and the fact they took the Ezreal, if this was Styx saying, oh, I don't really have anything else to play, I need to play the Varus, or this was something they prepared specifically because they wanted to play long range poke, still don't know yet, because I know for sure that he did not want to pick Zeri here. It's just too low range, you can't really get into damage. We saw what happened last time when he did not have the range advantage in these fights.
Well, I think that Ziggs ban as well is quite an interesting one that we haven't really touched on, because we know, Taylor, that you love the Ziggs, and obviously Antic says we don't want them to have this champion. It makes so much sense, especially for the team comp that you said it was the Yordle gameplay, is you get the Tristana, you get the Ziggs, you can melt through towers. I guess that is something I'd like to see potentially come out, where if both teams are looking very heavily to favor the Grubs, why don't they pick lane bullies that just want to shove and take these towers too. So I guess I'm excited to see how Ion's going to approach this next drafting phase. But I think Antic just have a lot of answers to a lot of the questions they're putting out, Skimmy.
What I'm curious to see, in particular, what Doraemon decides to do, right? Whether or not they feel compelled that they need to lock in their top lane in the first 3, or if they look to try and shield it as best they can on blue side, a little bit harder to do, and whether or not Antic feel that they need to then have 5th pick for Zoranus to make sure that, look, you can try and be cute and clever, it's just not going to work out, because we know that, Doraemon can play the AD carries, he can play the split pushes in your Camille, he can play the bruises, right, in your Renekton's, but it almost looks like Zoranus is Doraemon, but just better. So it's like, how do you beat yourself? It's very hard to try and really achieve that.
It's look, it is a hard thing to beat. I think it's that he's just such a well-rounded player that he knows exactly what he needs to do. He's very aware of where the team's at, their strengths and weaknesses. He knows how to play and pander to that too. So again, yeah, I think 100% it's one of these players that Draymond needs to really reconsider or change up the pool and what he's going to do. But Twitch channel points, ladies and gentlemen, you have them. You want to use them. That's where you do it. Up in that button up there, support your favorite team. Is it going to be Antic taking home the 2-0, or is I'm going to take us to a best of 3? I don't know. It feels like we've all predicted Antic to go the 2-0. I think after that first game, it's looking pretty solid. But who knows? You could actually cash out some pretty hectic amounts of points for that if you do desire to go for Ion on this next game. But who knows, truly. Again, what would you... Okay, so is it just the hard CU pair with Ziggs? I'm just trying to think about like a good team comp to play around like a Ziggs Tristana tally. What would be your ideal team comp there?
Well, I think that you really want that the tank combos. I personally, if I was playing Ziggs in the bot lane, I don't really want a Tristana mid lane. I want like a Yone. I want like that Yone Sejuani, Jax Cassante, something like that in the top lane, and just give me Leona, Nautilus, any melee support in the bot lane. All the setup, all the damage, You just Ziggs as a champion can be that solid AP carry. Can zone control, damage, objective control, poke, scaling, early game, tower destruction. He's kind of on. You think about it.
What's like the full simp squad? Like Camille, Galio, Sejuani. What would the support be for the Ziggs? Like something else AoE centric, and then you just got like everything to come together. Yeah, I guess Leona, that's what they played last night, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, if you still miss your Ziggs bomb, it's GG. Like, we've got everything for you. Please land the ult.
Well, we'll have to wait and see as we do have our next break coming right up right now as we get ready for the game number 2 of tonight's best of 3. It is Antic versus Ion. Hopefully we'll see something clutch, but we'll wait and see it there. See you soon.
as it comes to Varus. Forced out of the stopwatch, it's Carnage! Only triple happening here is for Python. It's do or die! And here we go then, back into the series. One game tonight, one best of 3, one chance for these teams to continue their LCO playoff dream. If they want to make it to PCS, they're going to get through this one tonight and then make it to those heavy-hitting best of 5s. Antic came out here, Telly, with 4 carries. They all did over 20k damage. They didn't lose the early game. They absolutely crushed it. And as for Ion, it's a case of switch up the sides. Let's figure out what needs to change.
Yeah, we're going to see the realm being removed for Ion this side, so they have that extra ban if they want to throw it somewhere. The Ezreal is still left up right now. That might be the last ban coming through for Antic, but we'll have to see if they do want to leave that up. There is potential play for Antic to pick up and play into that one, because Ezreal is Chemi can really deal with, but he's removed Chemi. As we did mention, they really don't want to deal with this one. We thought it was going to be a very highly contested pick between these teams. So what is that first week priority for Ion going to look like now?
Let's see what it is to be, because yeah, it's great to see that the Ezreal is denied away. Surely Leona, if it's to be an Ashe, that would be interesting, but it'd be funny if we did see a support getting locked in from the very get-go again. But no, Ashe, just very keen to say, Ashe, Varus, whatever it may be, I need an engaged threat from this bot lane.
Yeah, and I think that this might be, Styx saying that his champion pool is being pinched a bit and he really needs to get that champ straight away, because with the Ezreal being gone, if they did take away the Ashe, he was, afraid of what he's going to play into that one, because it looked like Katsuri, yes, they look so strong on this champion against Ion especially, so they do not want to take away the core feature of standard. They want to trade those ones because they feel comfortable on both sides of that matchup, and they did prioritize the Ashe. So there is the engage button in the bot lane, there is that lane blue on the bot side. What are Antic going to respond with here?
Ooh, would it be a cheeky little Lilia just to come out of the gate swinging so early on? Maybe a cheeky Nidalee if they want to go for these double AD carry comps again, or perhaps a tank. And Frono basically saying, look, I'll show you how to get the Maokai underway and be a little bit tankier.
So yeah, this is a different look. We see the Zyron cards being removed. The only 2 major we've seen Foreigner being played. The brand is still up, right? So they still do have AP options, but decided he doesn't want to go for that one. He's just going to play the Maokai in the jungle, do the reverse of what they versed last game, and I think this is a good look for Antic. They still do have mage options in other lanes. If Destiny wants to pull out something, if Zonas wants to pull out something, they absolutely can. They can run this very aggressive comp as well, because the enemy team has drafted no tank so far, Skimmy, but that is the LeBlanc Lee Sin coming out, and this is a very nice one to see. Coley on that Lee Sin was so successful, and we've seen Jovi on carry chance, and now he's picked one of the best potential carry champs in the game.
Yeah, this will be the first time he's played LeBlanc on a competitive game, but I believe he has been working away behind the scenes in solo queue, so it's going to be exciting to see what his variation of LeBlanc looks like, because if it's anything to do, or anything similar to his, AD carry play style, it is going to look to really try and take over this game. Plenty of mobility, and it will certainly need it. Internet of Maokai and a Nautilus ready to say, you can flash, you can dash, you can juke and jive, but we're always coming towards you.
And if we take stock of the draft right now, Skimmy, we see that, the Maokai and Nautilus being picked would be a very scary duo for LeBlanc to deal with, because if it is that point and click, Twisted Advance, the Dredge line, the ult from Nautilus, you can't play the game, right? But I think this is telling what Ion wants to do. They have picked the most early game of early games that you can. They want priority in bot lane, they want the strongest 2v2 in the mid jungle, and they want to fight everything. They do not want this game to go to mid game and for them to be in the even game state like they were last time, because they just don't feel too confident in the macro game. They just want to get that lead and they want to run over the game, and this is the way to do it.
And I love it. I love this adaptation to basically say, look, we didn't have enough pressure on this game. We need to really up the ante and make sure that we have a fighting chance. And I think we've seen some of the best games coming out of Coley individually on the Lee Sin, right? Some of those pop-off carry potential performances. Very much a case of I'm not here to support and dash around with the ward hopping and like the odd insect kick here and there. That was a very scary Lee Sin, so he'll no doubt be hoping to emulate that performance again. I guess the weak link as a result of this is that Hexflash has to drop in priority again. That Leona not to be available, Nautilus denied by Draku, and the Braum too, if they wanted a very supportive option to counteract all this aggression running right at them. We do see the Draven get hovered, but you see a Tristana again, you think, well, Raze can't play both at the same time in mid. So Kaiser, if it's not the Ezreal, I think Destiny's best champion thereafter.
He was definitely playing with us. We always knew it was going to be the Kaiser. With the Ezreal being gone, and it's just the next champion that we always see Destiny lock in. So going to pair that one out with the Nautilus. That is a very good all-in lane. But if the support pick out of Hexflash is strong in early game, it's a hard lane for Kai'Sa to navigate in the early parts. You know, it's really hard to deal with the aggression that comes out of Ashe. If you do get space, you can get chunked and run down when you misstep in this lane, so it's something to have to be careful about. But a lot of gank pressure, you know. I was talking about how well Dracu and Foreigner work together when he is freed up, but, you know, looking at all this CC from a Nautilus and Maokai, they can really get a lot done this map in pretty much any lane they want to right now.
You certainly can. Lots of aggression, lots of interaction, and just looking for that one single AP option, perhaps, unless they're quite happy with the sort of flexibility of the mixed magic Maokai Kai'Sa. But there is the Camille. We're wondering what would Doraemon go for, and it really is that case. Both top laners saying, we want to counter one another. What have you got?
I think this might just be the Zoranus Gragas come out. We've seen him, you know, he likes that. That's one of his AP options. It's a good matchup for the Camille. With the Jax and the Cassante being taken away, ooh, this is exciting if this is the champion.
Nice.
Okay, so this is a very exciting matchup. We know we expect to see this neutralize in the top side coming out of Zoranus, but locks in the Gwen. This is an extremely good solo AP option and a champion who is extremely good into stuff like Ashe specifically. You know, the rest of the comp functions pretty well into the Mist. You know, the Gwen is immune that everyone really, really hates in League of Legends. So I like the pick coming out of Zoranus, showing that he does have that confidence, and we're going to see what that summoner spell is going to be, because it's going to be the teleport alongside either the Ignite for that early game matchup of the Camille, or it's going to be that Ghost for the scaling pressure.
Well, that is the talking point, right? What are we looking to try and get here? Is it all about the lightning phase, or both pretty locked in to you know, find that late game scaling condition? Because once again, we have an abundance of damage. This really is so far away from some of the comps we've seen where it's been 1 carry, 4 frontliners, off you go. This is everybody wants to be at the star of the show. And everybody's going to be willing to showcase what they can get done. But I think above all else, and whilst we do put a bit of a bigger spotlight on Joby rather than the rest of his teammates, in particular, I really want to see what this LeBlanc looks like.
Yeah, I do as well, but I think that this matchup in particular is quite hard. There is you know, we always see Tristan's go for Krakens, right? That's the, you know, the #1 DPS item, but there is this build when it comes to Tristan where you can just go for that, you know, Blade Throne King, and just have the fact that this item was buffed to have more lifesteal is really nice for laners, so you get a lot of sustain in lane, and LeBlanc never truly has one-shot potential onto lane opponents, but just, you know, you go forward, you chunk them down, then you wait for your low cooldowns to come back up, and that's when you execute. But if Raze does go for that Vamp Scepter base, all of a sudden, you know, you can just heal back up and constantly just out-sustain the LeBlanc in lane. This is why this has been such a tough matchup, and why we haven't really seen control mages being picked up into the Tristana specifically. So I think it really comes down to the duo of LeBlanc Lee Sin, and not so much Joby finding those 1v1s himself.
But we certainly know that LeBlanc Lee Sin 2v2 is probably one of the best that you can look to get yourself, right? Very, very strong. And we are hoping that this means they have not only stronger control of the mid lane, but the ability to actually contest those grubs. That certainly felt like their downfall last game. Too much priority, like a lot of teams have showcased this year, towards the Dragon. And just then bleeding so much in terms of those turrets falling around, all those plates being picked up, and somebody like Zoranus then being leaps and bounds ahead of anybody else in response. And speak of Zoranus, it's been a hot minute since we last saw the Gwen, but not as long as you might have been led to believe, having seen Cassante every single game. Last time it was played, actually this split by Tomasino on the side of Fury. So that was a Cassante matchup. This one slightly different. But it is going to be very explosive, lots of mobility and lots of damage.
We do see the Ignite coming out of Zoranus as well, and the Flash coming out of Doraemon. So, you know, we are used to seeing the Camille's in these carry versus carry matchups going for that TP Ignite, but deciding to go for that Flash, you know, might feel like he needs that one for the team fights. He wants to play a lot more towards his team, because we do see them group up right now as the 5-man 2 times in a row, looking for those invades.
Always looking for that bot lane invade. It's fantastic. As blue side, I guess, just has that blessing. And what's also quite interesting for me is that last game, I believe it was high 80% in favor of Antic. The fan vote this time gone completely against it, with 50 going the way of Ion. So now they are the favorites. They are the ones hoping to bring this to a game 3. And it is all going to come down to that lane stability. But I tell you what, these junglers really have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and I think that this might be a mistake by Ion going for that level 1 invade, because, you know, you look at this bot side of Ion, they do not really want to start in the enemy's jungle and play for that 3-3 on the camp. But the fact they walked in means that they are able to get wards on the other side of the map. We see Raze walk in and drop that ward on the you know, the mid lane outside the left camp. So they know when Coley shows on this ward where he is, and if he doesn't show on that ward by a certain time, they also know where he's skinny, right? Just by process of elimination. So I think that this Lee Sin being tracked in the early game is you know, quite a downfall for the side of Ion, because they need to snowball this game.
They certainly do, and both champions not going to be too keen to go for those 4 clear heavy farming playstyle. It is going to be gank city, really is, and more so than what in the mid lane. Because, yeah, whilst Jovi wants to try and dash on in and utilize those electrocute procs with the sudden impact, he's going to cop a lot of damage on the trade there back.
And something I will say about Raze is he always swaps skins, right? He just constantly cycles through them. He never ever uses one skin in particular, but I have never seen him lose on this skin, Skinny. I will say, ever since he came out, I've never seen him lose on this Tristana skin in particular, so I think he's locking in. He's like, all right, guys, it's game 2. It's do or die now. If we win, we're going that best of 5, so I'll lock in. But going forward onto the Tristana, which has all the cooldowns, is very scary, but this is one of the strengths of the passive from LeBlanc. You can't deny any trade going back, and he is concerned about Lee Sin right now. He can, you know, always jump forward and punish the cooldowns coming out of Jovi, but he has to worry about, if Coley is here, which he should be, because Lee Sin wants to interact with his mid lane, that's going to be him falling down.
Really nice timing though of Foreigner to make sure he's in the right area at the right time. Oh no! They fit them with the chains, that's fantastic, but Foreigner with that twisted advance is even better.
Yeah, Ray's really late on the jump there, so he does find himself getting caught up by that second chain. That's easy Sonic Wave secure for Coley. They do find the first blood. Going to be a trade going towards Antic as well, but I would say that favors Ion, especially because you know, the gold is going onto the LeBlanc or the Lee Sin, which is so important for both of these champs who need to get ahead. But Jovi almost go. Oh, never mind, Timmy. Does go down.
Okay, well, he's locked in. You said he doesn't lose on the skin. I was thinking maybe there's a bit of cast the curse because you've got that power now, the inside information. That's what he likes to do. That's what he's always found himself with. But you've said it now. You've made it real, and he just dies to a gank right after.
Yeah, just not even a gank, Timmy, just dying in the 1v1 straight up. So a bit of a disrespect coming out of him, the flash being traded. But this is, you know, what we're going to see in this matchup, right? We're going to see Tristana constantly jump forward and trade, even though the health trades might be in favor of LeBlanc. The strength of the Tristana is the fact that you can buy sustain item, so I expect to see Ray's base here and potentially pick up a Vamp Scepter, and if that is the case, will be a very, very easy laning phase for him, but if he does go for that Kraken, expect some, you know, more volatility going on there.
Good flash there from Draku. You can see that Hexflash was looking to try and jump in, but he's in a world of trouble now. He's so overcommitted, he's got no way out of this one. Gets ticked on down by the Ignite. Foreigner just swoops in then with that twisted advance. And this really is a complete difference of the Maokai in game 1. This is incredibly fair. 2 kills in already 4 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, but I think something to note as well, Skimmy, is the fact that all we're seeing from Foreigner right now is the majors, right? But the most successful games from him have been on these, you know, ganking junglers, these skirmishing junglers in the early game. And Maokai, a champion who is a tank, but also a champ really strong in the early game. And he's having a lot of success right now, but we do see the jump going forward. Chobi has that flash, but, you know, Ray trades his own flash and does find the easy solo kill for himself, so he's back in that lane, has the null magic mantle, and you're going to be at that stage where he can deny that lethal kill threat onto himself.
I love that replay so much, though. Just the confidence of, like, Jovi disengaging away, Ray's hitting the emote saying, yep, good job, mate, you're dead anyway. And it's like, yep, cinematic, you know, absolute cinema, as you'd say.
Yeah, just a very easy pickup for himself, but I think this is the hard part of this matchup, right? With both flashes being down, all of a sudden, Raze has that jump to, you know, Jovi has to go forward with the W, and then Raze can all of a sudden, if he continues to play his range, get out of that chain very comfortably. So there is, you know, a very hard time finding that kill pressure onto the Tristana right now, especially if he does end up hugging one side of the map. The only real way is to bait him to jump forward like this, Gibby.
Yeah, well, that's certainly one way to try and get yourself in a bit of a precarious situation. He's already blown the ultimate, but actually you can just stand within that wave and say, good luck landing that Sonic Wave. I'll entertain that 1v2, no problem whatsoever. And just look how much vision control Antic have in this bottom half of the map. They know exactly where Hexflash is going, but they won't anymore because it's a pause. So we'll have to wait and see what that's all about. Hopefully it's nothing too major. We can jump right back into the fold of things. But yeah, it's sort of everything we expected it to be, right? This was going to be all about that mid 2v2, and yeah, that's the sort of the gamble of how far ahead can the LeBlanc and Lee Sin get.
Yeah, and I think that Antic have done a good job to, you know, deal with what a little pressure that Ion was putting towards the mid lane in that level 3 gank that we saw. So really well played by Foreign in particular, you know, clearing well, both two successful ganks for himself, whereas, you know, we do see Coley running around and, you know, working on pushing out lanes which don't look too good. We do see a CS lead being built up in the top lane as well for Zonus, so that counter pick is working out for himself, and it's so important that you know, their side lane answer does beat the side laner of Ion this game, because, you know, if this Camille on the side lane with the LeBlanc and Lee Sin in tandem on the other side of the map are getting prior in the side lane, all of a sudden, even though their team fight looks worse, you know, they can create numbers of advantage that we saw in the last game where, you know, Styx was getting caught out of position because they didn't have side lane control.
I'm curious to see what the game plan is going to be then from either side, because as you've already mentioned, 2 very heavy ganking junglers. The AP threat in that regard slightly neutered. Would you like to see Foreigner with these early kills actually be a little bit more aggressive as we do load back into the game? Looks like he's working towards some tankiness to start things off with, but do you think there's a world in which you can go Leandries here?
I would say he doesn't really need to. Like, he can, but he doesn't need to just because, you know, Zorinus is going to apply so much of that aggression early, but Destiny getting caught out with no summoners to himself.
Yeah, he's just going to get gattled down here by Styx, who's going to cop a turret shot and be quite content with that one because he picks up the kill into Destiny. And then both junglers find themselves in the area just to make sure that nothing more comes of that. So a much more promising start this game by the side of Ion.
Yeah, and also something to note that every single time Collie does show, you know, Race does feel that confident to jump forward in mid, so we might see him position a lot more comfortably when that Lee Sin is tracking the wards. Even talking about the vision control that this team does have is quite one-sided scheming, especially around the mid lane right now. They are enabling Race to play the game, and this is probably, I would say, Foreigner's expertise when it comes to playing, you know, their mid jungle. Raze is at 80 carry coming into mid lane, so it's, you know, quite difficult to say, all right, I need vision here, I need, you know, this, I need control, I need you guys on these timers. I think this is just Foreigner doing a really good job making sure his mid lane is comfortable.
But that's what it comes down to, making sure that they can flourish and do as they do best. That's why they've had the longevity in their careers. But let's check in with Benvi, the coach of Grand Zero, see what he has to say. Actually mirrored with Katsuri then as well, believing this should go all the way to a Game 3. But still, once again, that Antic should prevail with that 2-1 score, believing that there's a lot of potential for it to be quite close, but some key picks could be the difference. Let's see then, Grub Fight is the go. And Hex Flash is the one under threat. Flash to safety, bait them away. Collie very easily able to ward hop to safety as well. And Antic, yet again, just able to stand and sort of shoo you off.
Yeah, this is the disconnect that we keep talking about with Ion. The fact that, you know, Jovi is in base, but all of a sudden, Collie and Hex Flash are trying to contest those grubs. And Collie walks to the top lane, but then, you know, Hex Flash goes in and loses his flash. So it's a very big disconnect for the whole team of Ion. And I think that, you know, the correct play probably would have been just to give the grubs altogether, clear bot camps, and look for a potential play on the bot side of the map. But now that they've wasted all that tempo on top side, all of a sudden they lost the objective. They have no trailing on the other side of the map, and, you know, Antic are very comfortable right now.
That certainly are. The opportunity cost has really, you know, hurt them on that occasion. And whilst it's not the grandest gold lead at this stage, it's the potential of what it can become, right? Up by 500 gold. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but we saw what Antic were able to achieve with a very similar comp last game, with all 6 grubs going their way to punish that kind of indecision and lack of trade back in response. And that might be what it is now. The fact that we are back to those standard lane deployments, we must take this Drake again.
Yeah, and the Dragon is being started. Something important right now for Ion is to maintain his bot river vision control. You see that there is, you know, so much blue vision going on right now. These pink walls need to be protected if Antic do want to walk in and contest, and that's when they need to strike. They have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. They have the priority on bot side for Hex Flash to walk to mid lane. They have, you know, Jovi getting priority and walking to Fogger Wall. They need to maintain this control for the rest of the laning phase, or else it gets, you know, so much harder for them.
Yeah, it certainly does. The Scotties are going to try and steal away the blue, feeling pretty inspired after picking up that first Drake. Says maybe I can do one more. On vision, and Raze is pretty keen to try and fight this one, but you can see that his bot lane is already locked underneath the tower, not wanting to give up any of this XP or gold. So whilst Coley will decide to disengage away from that one, he will still be in the vicinity and now actually go in for a second attempt, calling over Jovi.
But we do see Foreigner coming out of base with the completed item of the Zeke's Convergence right now, so he's so much stronger than everyone on the map. If this fight does happen, in which it will, Skimmy.
Certainly will. Yes, it certainly will. Hex Flash is the one to try and start things off. Kick, looking back, Draku taken on down, picked up by Jovi. Great start for Ion then in this little scrap as Destiny tries to answer back with the Acafian Rain. Not to be enough on this occasion. Just really tickling them. But thankfully, the Blue Sentinel still stays on their end of the map.
Yeah, Draku just pretty much getting CC chained up there, unable to get out of the CC lockup and use his flash to survive before all the damage comes out of that team. You get to go on the replay. One of the things about Ion's Compass, they have so much damage, right? You know, Lee Sin, Sonic Wave, Execute, the blunt combo. It's so much front-loaded damage, and Draku just finds himself caught in the CC chain, unable to move, and there is no trade going on to the side of you know, Ion because the ult from Foreigner already came out as he was walking onto that blue buff, and they just blocked that one up.
It's so easy as well for Styx, right? All that freedom just to attack, as we can see Raze do just that as well. Locked in place by the chains, forcing out the pressure, hitting the buster shot, and saying sweet dreams to Jovi. Well, there you have it. An 80 carry really flourishing in this meta and loving it in the mid lane.
There's 2 solo kills going to Raze, you know, in both games, finding 1 apiece. So very nice to see that he is so comfortable on, you know, these matchups. We thought that he would only really do well against the 80 carries. That's where his expertise would shine, but he's playing 80 carries into these mages, even the assassins, which have less play than the mages, and doing really well.
Certainly is doing really well. The only person so far in this game with a champion bounty. And, I mean, honestly, top lane, where we expected it to be a little bit spicy, has probably been the most passive of it all.
Yeah, this has always been the quiet lane for both Antic and Ion. They've both teams do not put any pressure towards the top side or resources. We did see Coley in the early game, you're helping Doraemon with the wave reset, but a lot of the time it's just going to be the 1v1, come down to the matchup, and both these top lanes like to focus on the side lanes in the mid game. So we do see that preemptive swap come out because the grubs are coming up for 30 seconds, but Joby, that's the wrong side.
Oh, where on earth is Safonic going? He got taken through space and time there. He's going to stand and deliver. Zeke's active, everybody low, and Destiny picks up that kill. Static Shift doing its due diligence there as Joby gets popped to get an isolation 1v1 into Raze. And it's a double kill for Destiny as those two combined start to come into their own.
Yeah, and this was just a bit of an overextension from Joby. You see him distortion into the enemy jungle because he's caught out of position, and this is that overextension. See, we keep seeing from Ion, they think they're, they're going for their proactive swap, they think they're uncontested, but all of a sudden, Antic are matching that same play, and all of a sudden they rock up with the same members, with bigger items, with the better team fight, and they win that one pretty convincingly.
They certainly do. Then here we go, potentially picking up all 6 grubs again as they'll find themselves 4. Iron looks to try and make a comeback. Hexflash jumps in, locking in place Foreigner, the kick away to safety as he will still live. Coley ticking on down to the explosive bomb of Raze, who does get kill confirmed. Joby rocks up, but is it too little too late? Sticks under threat, Bastard Shot not enough, Barrier saving his bacon, and back to the grubs we go. And all 6 yet again.
Yeah, Race is going to walk away from that one very disappointed. He knew he wanted that kill. That was his kill to take, but, doesn't see the barrier over the wall, so it doesn't find the execute with that, ult coming out of himself, but still a very easy win, and 6 grubs going to Antic, 2 games in a row. You would think that the team with the LeBlanc Lee Sin would have that mid control, would be able to pick that one up, but this is just thanks to them navigating those early ganks onto the mid lane and trading the 1-for-1. But going into the replay, we see Jovi, think they have caught out Foreigner, but this is a tank. He's someone who takes a long time to die, and this is what I was worried about when it came to LeBlanc. You can't outplay the Twisted Advance as the LeBlanc champion, and I almost got outplayed by the clone myself. I didn't even recognize that he had gone to the side, but Raze rotates from mid, cleans that one very easily, and the numbers advantage does the rest.
It certainly does do the rest at that point there, and as you mentioned, right, it's the Maokai, it's the Nautilus, anything that can look to try and lock you in place. You can have those fancy feet, but it doesn't matter. They will always find a way. Well, Jovi has opted for the CDR boots, a bit of a difference from what you'd usually see, whereas Ray's opting for the Merc Treads, needs that resistance, really wants to make sure he's as mobile as he possibly can be. As you spot there, Draku planting a ward in that bot tri-bush and just watching as they go back to base. But with all this power yet again, and with a whole minute left to siege, I think Destiny's got this tower.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with the 6 grubs left alone on the bot side. But Coley might be in trouble here. There is not a lot of damage coming out of the studio, and there is 3 members from the side of Ion, but Raze is rotating. Destiny has to kill Instinct, so expect the fight, Skimmy.
Yeah, Coley's jumped to safety on towards Hexflash, and maybe not safe enough as the Depth Charge does follow. Foreigner stole away with the smite buff there, red buff, so he's quite happy about that one. And look, already Antic are border laning. They're grouping up and saying nowhere on this map is safe.
Yeah, they do recognize that, this is an extremely heavy scaling advantage. They need to group up, they need to fight, they need to do stuff as soon as possible to get an advantage somewhere in the game. Because looking at all these lanes, there is no advantage for them right now in any individual prospects. They're losing every single position is behind in items and experience. So they really need to group up, throw out these arrows, throw out these LeBlanc chains, and find some kills really fast.
Well, all the plates then going towards Destiny. He'll pick up the tower before they all do come crumbling down, so must be very far ahead of anybody else in this game. But this is what Iron are looking to try and do. They say we need to answer back some way. Draku with the Spidey senses to know that this is looking a little bit too much of a suspicious moment. 4v1 onto Dominus. Immune inside their inner circle, but locked in place by the Hextech Ultimatum by so much time. But there is still a wave, and Coley's not going to fall on down. Ignite doesn't get the kill confirmation. And the 4-man gank party proves to be successful.
Yeah, Zoro's probably a bit bored and wants to go for that 1v4 outplay. Was extremely close with Draku coming at the end there, but that was a play he could have respected, right? He could have walked to the tower and waited for that rotation to happen, but let me hold my point with see Jovi. Getting caught out right now, Skimmy. This is a hard one to outplay with Draku's on the Nautilus.
Well, that's exactly right. How do you outplay this? Well, first of all, you can get your clone hooked. Destiny then gets ping-pong back and says, well, I've also got a way to follow you no matter where you go. Killer Instinct's on his head and locks him down inside that alcove. And yet again, another really easy game for Foreigner to pilot. Picks up the quest, go kill the Herald. That's what he does. And, carries on.
You know what this reminds me of, Skimmy? I don't know if you remember the game in particular, but I will hold my point as we see. Coley hopefully can get to the wall.
He can get to the wall. I think he might just be out of range of that Nature's Grasp. Nope, still gets rooted, and Destiny gets another. 8 kills then between both Raze and Destiny, who are so far ahead in a comp that scales so well They're already up by 7k.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to no, I'm gonna hold my point. Draco, are we hooking?
Don't bother.
Are we hooking? Are we leaving? Okay, he's leaving. Okay, back to my point. I was gonna say this game reminds me of a very old game of SKT versus EG, I believe. And I'm gonna hold my point against. Give me some more fights.
There's no time for history, no time for breakdown, because Destiny wants to flex the Mammoth emote. He just wants to say Tapoon.
Okay, I'm looking at the map state. It looks like everyone's basing. We're okay, Skivvy.
Hold.
Okay, I was going to say that this is a very old game at MSI where Faker was known for being the LeBlanc player of all time, right? And you do not give this player this champion no matter what. They left it up, they gave it to him, and they drafted a comp of, 5 champions that just owned LeBlanc. It was point and click, CC on every member. It was like Morgana mid, Maokai jungle, Nautilus. It was just hard to deal with, right? And we're seeing the same thing right now. Even though they weren't preparing for Jovi's LeBlanc, they've just dealt 5 champions that own LeBlanc. It's so hard for him to carry. It's so hard for him to get ahead. It's so hard for him to operate in the laning phase or even the team fights. There's just no windows for this champion to really do anything this game.
Yeah, this is passively countered it, even if they weren't, consciously aware that that is the decision. And that was the draft angle they were hoping to try and achieve. And we put so much stress on this LeBlanc-Lee Sin duo getting ahead. It's lacking at this stage, 2-7 for its KD. And it does really then lend its hand to, okay, Styx, what can you get accomplished on this? Ash, can we hit that PD nice and quickly? Perhaps Doraemon, you can get some work done in these side lanes.
Yeah, and I also want to, we've talked a lot about what is happening, and we do see more fighting happening. Hexflash might be over the wall, but Raze.
He's going to get traveled on this time. He says, you know what, you think you can lock us in place? We can do the same as well. Hexagolden Millennium locks in place, Raze, but he just stands and holds and then says, watch, I've got Draku, his old supportive team member, locks in place that Camille. And Destiny now is dominating. Nature's Grass guarantees that he's hunting for a second, and that's what he'll get. Double kill for the Kaiser. Next one on the chopping block is Foreigner to take down Hexflash. Triple then for Destiny as he wants to lead the league for the most kills in playoffs.
And it feels bad to say, Skimmy, but it's hard to say this game isn't lights out for Ion already. I think the fact they are down this much gold, 11,000 gold lead already when they have a comp that needs to get ahead in the early game. They need to find a lead, whereas none of these champions really function in the enemy team is telling a lot about this game state right now because there's just so much scaling on Antic, there's so much team fight pressure, there's so much silent control. They have all the boxes ticked and they have the gold lead to commend it.
And it just really feels like what happened during their best of two during the regular season, right? The first game going 25 minutes, the next game done in 16 and a half. We're so far ahead of the clock right now that we're looking to try and answer back. But Ion say we do still have some fighting spirit left in us. Both AD carries getting a killer piece so far. But it's Antic inside your base, having already taken down one inhibitor. They're going to take you down as well. They've taken 2, looking for a third. Thankfully, Jovi finds something and is able to remove Destiny, claiming a big bounty of gold.
Styx!
And Styx just be space gliding, gets immune. Doraemon jumps inside, and finally, Iron are able to answer back.
And the TP coming forward as well. Jovi's already picked himself up the 1,000 gold. Raise no matter for the jump. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Oh no, it's so brutal. So much damage, and yeah, as you say already, so hard to outplay, but they're just going to get whittled down. Styx acting like a support here, just making sure that Doraemon can keep running forward, but he dies! Draku claims it, Raze turns around and says, why are we running? And he just killed them all.
Hands on his head. Zarnus is so confused about what is happening, but Ion, they feel so pressured. They need to secure those kills. They need to make sure they find this goal because the moment Raze bases and sends all that money he picked up, it's going to be lights out, absolutely. But a nice outplay by, Raze to use the busted shot to push the Camille out of her own Hex, the ultimatum, which deletes the ulti in itself. And Draco with a really nice re-engage. I think a nice thing about the Tristana play from Raze is the pre-jump on the kill, so you do find that, double reset just in case you do get cancelled. So that is a nice play by him. But also, SD's extremely good at securing kills, Gimme.
Look, I tell you what, if you're a support player and you've stolen a few kills in the past, I tell you what, if you're going to go AD carry, you'd be so well adept at getting that one achieved. 9 kills already. Really would think that he's an AD carry main with the performances he's been putting in this playoffs so far. But they just look so far gone in this game, up by close to 14,000 gold. And we're not even at the 20-minute mark yet, Tally. Out goes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, locks in place, yet Draku again. CC chained for Oblivion. Dying underneath that Nexus tower, but the 6 scrubs are still there. Ray still wants more, jumps inside your base, knocks you back into the fountain, but can't find that killing blow. One turret falls on down, working onto the second. The Nexus now completely exposed. Could the game end right here and now? That's what Zornus wants to get achieved. The rest of the team looking to try and paddicate it a little bit more, but Zornus keeps snipping. Tally Cosplay working overtime right now. He wins the game on his own. And I tell you what a convincing 2-0 for Antic to carry on their journey.
Yeah, an absolutely convincing 2-0. We saw at the end there that the Antic carries wanted to get some more kills, but Zorus has had enough of that game. He wants to end it. He wants to go back to play some solo queue. And what a performance out of this team, Stu. We saw that they wanted to, you know, garner some confidence going into the next series, and I think they absolutely have with that last performance.
And they certainly have, and commiserations obviously going towards Ion. They've been such a phenomenal team to watch all year long. Always that dark horse showcasing so many moments of brilliance, taking games away from some of these bigger and better teams. But in the end, it was just a step too far to take down the powerhouse known as Antic. On the night, they claim this best of 3 in a convincing 2-0 sweep and would advance tomorrow into the lower bracket again to see who they get to face up against in Ground Zero and Bliss. We'll jump to a quick break and break down all of this action right after this.